NDP MPP Sol Mamakwa was thrown out of the legislature today as the government moves to further limit debate on its controversial mining bill. Here's a look at what happened.
Last week, the government said that they respect First Nations, that they respect treaty rights. Speaker, we know the Premier is telling untruths to First Nations about...
I will ask the member to withdraw.
Not telling the truth.
But that's the truth.
I will ask the member to withdraw.
That is the truth. Drawing.
We'll ask the member to withdraw.
Speaker, Premier is telling untruths. That's the truth.
Mamakwa was ejected after being named by the Speaker. Some fellow MPPs applauded him as he was escorted out.
Well, Bill 5, which is what this is all about, would give the government power to suspend provincial and municipal laws for projects in certain areas and remove some endangered species protections. It's one of many laws getting fast-tracked before the legislature rises for a summer break. Last week, the NDP and Liberals used procedural tools to halt committee meetings. The government House Leader is now stepping in to limit further committee time. The bill would go back to the House with just 1 hour of debate and a final vote the very same day. We heard about this from Ontario NDP leader Marit Stiles. She's really slamming the PC's move to push through the controversial mining bill. She was also joined by Indigenous leaders and the head of the Ontario Federation of Labour today.
We tried to give them a chance to do the right thing. But now the government is using every measure possible to force this bill through. They're limiting debate. They're cutting down consultation completely. They're going to shove this bill through so fast without any more debate or discussion. And the leaders that are joining me today have been sounding the alarm since this bill was announced that this is a bad idea, that there is no fixing Bill 5, and that the only right thing to do is to scrap it and go back to the drawing board.
We're here to basically tell the Premier and his government that going around obligations to treaty to get to what he wants is not going to be stood for. I've heard him on the weekend saying that this bill is going to be good for all Ontarians. Obviously, he didn't include Indigenous people in his comments. And when he speaks of Ontarians, he's not talking about the Indigenous people.
Madam Speaker, in no way does Bill 5 infringe on treaty rights or compromise the duty to consult. And in no way, shape, or form do we consider the duty to consult red tape. She's actually right about that. And we know because over the past 6 years, we've moved major resource projects, particularly mines, across important starting lines because we've had the full cooperation of First Nations most proximal to those resource development projects, including and especially the Watay power line, which I know the member from Keewatin was particularly happy about on several occasions, with his big infectious smile, taking credit for the work this government's doing to put good legacy infrastructure in isolated remote First Nations communities.
And once it passes, the Ford government says that it'll honor its duty to consult by meeting with First Nations during the summer.